co-driver race, the one and only of 2022, makes it 56 drivers. And we talk frequently, if you want action in supercar racing, just add water. And we've added plenty of it this week.
Now, here's Will Davison. That's a big, big slide. And what you spoke of before about the tops of those curbs still being wet, that was a great demonstration. There's Will, his brother and co-driver for the weekend. But that was, in terms of Alex, to what we've seen this week with the amount of rain that we've had and these conditions being so changeable. So there's almost nothing you could learn from last year other than wheeling it out and hoping, if you mossed it, hoping that my car's as good as last year.
And more strife here, this time for Chaz Mostert. You can see how much water's just leaking back onto the racetrack from the grassy verge, and that's going to be an issue. Anybody that does actually make a big enough mistake to go far enough off the edge of the racetrack. And if you do step wide here, which is what's happened, there's no coming back in a hurry. And in this instance, it's the number 56 Kostecki brothers car. Jake and Kurt are driving that. And this is the Cam Waters incident. So again, just pushing too hard. And as soon as you get out onto the fringe there at the moment, even though it may not be evident, it'll be moist.
Yep.
It's passing and they start to flap. Oh man.
Oh, that's bad.
It's actually making the whole front end shake. So
I've never seen it that bad, have you? I've never seen it that bad.
I've seen the under tray do it, but I've never seen the entire unit do it. So that'll give Bradley something to think about. Cam Waters has just fired off in the final corner here down at Murray's, BJ. We'll just continue the conversation. So are you on top of it yet, or are you just leaving it until the end of the session to resolve?
I think we're, well, how do you know? It's one of those things, but we've got, this has been a problem we've had in the past, so we've got ways of curing it. So we'll, what we'll do is see what we can do, put another splitter on it, that's the first thing. And I'm quite comfortable we'll get it fixed.
This is what's happened to Cam. Locked the rears, bit too much pace. Straight into the sand trap and nudging up to the Repco barrier down there. And once you're in that gravel, that sand down there, it does its job. And that's the whole idea.
As you said earlier, this could be the best and fastest session of the weekend. It might be the only dry one we have before the race or for qualifying. So this is a real indicator, and Van Gisbergen on a 5.3 is very strong.
Who this time last year in the corresponding session, 17 laps into the 18 laps that he did in the session, did a 2-minute 5.47. So he's already gone a tenth and a half quicker, and he did it on lap 8 and he's done 11. So that tells old heads that he's got a better car, he can do it earlier, regardless of the tyre condition. He's actually made it work pretty quickly. And he'll be building confidence with Greg Murphy. This is the James Courtney Snowy River Caravans entry. Locking a brake off the top of the hill in the run to the S's. And remembering when the track is in full presentation mode, all those curbs are really glossy and all beautifully presented, but they don't have much in the way of grip. Heimgartner running wide down here. It's a bit of a miracle that he actually popped out the other side. Normally you don't get to do that down there, and Cam Waters learnt that a bit earlier. So sometimes when it rains, it just makes, just compacts the sand down there. You can get away with it, but we don't see too many people do that one. So he just plunged in there a little bit too deep.
He actually would have been kicking himself because he probably should have gone to the right at that point. When he locked the wheel, he sort of had the choice at that point. Well, am I going to go left or am I going to go right? We saw Craig Lowndes go to the right there before.
Perplexed.
Oh, he's hit the fence. That's actually a very big moment. Check this out. On board now with Van Gisbergen. Slides it right up against the fence. Bang. And that would normally ricochet itself straight across into that right-hand fence.
A lot going on all of a sudden, so arriving too fast down here for De Pasquale. He's wiped the rear on the tyre. Wow. Got away with that. That is ridiculous. He yo-yoed the thing through Forest Elbow and it's popped out the other side.
Check this out. We're on board. He lit the throttle up there on purpose. That was absolutely beautifully done. So when he was spinning, he knew that the rate of gyration was not enough, so he actually gassed it right in the middle of it, spun it around more and drove it off.
Top 10 shootout record, Chaz Mostert last year was a 3.3, and the lap record held also by Chaz is a 2-minute 4.7. So when you see a 4.3, that's right in there. And James Golding in the Subway entry, he's just amazed us one more time, and that's the reason for Mark's drawing breath in the background. So a 2-minute 4.3, he's all but equal Will Davison's time. That is a fantastic job from that team and that young guy. Oops. Unfortunately, Kostecki in the sand trap down there, and this time that car's going nowhere. It's well buried. Jake is at the wheel at the moment. Saw his brother Kurt earlier in the day. They'll be paired up, and that's at turn 1. And that's well and truly buried. So it's actually beached itself on the under tray of the car and the floor of the car. That's triggered a red flag with 3 minutes and 28 seconds remaining. It'd be a question now as to whether race control decides to restart it or declare the session. So, session is done and dusted, as I suspected, with only 3 minutes 28 to go. Will Davison, and how tight is that time? Will Davison over James Golding is only 0.01 of a second. Then Heimgartner off to a ripping start. So too David Reynolds and Nick Percat, Garth Tanner and Shane Van Gisbergen, Brock Feeney, Anton Di Pasquale, who got away with a miraculous save at Forest Elbow. Chaz Mostert and Lee Holdsworth, and then all the way down to Greg Murphy, was the last driver in car number 51. He's sharing with Richie Stanaway. That's not an indicative time. There'll be more to come. So practice 1 now declared. We were intending originally to do practice starts off the back of this session, but that's now been curtailed. We'll probably see those at the end of practice 2. Boost Mobile highlights. Practice number 1, day 1, Repco Bathurst 1000. The first of a sequence of very long practice sessions here